Hi, welcome to Chicken Thighs Take 2. Hi, this is How to Make Dinner. I'm Paula, and today we're making braised chicken thighs with lemons and capers. So I hope you'll stay tuned. We're going to use about medium-high heat. And I've got 9 chicken thighs here. These ones have the bone in and the skin on, but you could easily use boneless, skinless if you wanted. One of the beauty things about boneless, skinless thighs is that they're still really flavorful, unlike chicken breasts, which are pretty not flavorful. They kind of need that skin, but thighs are pretty good. So I've patted them dry really well because I don't want any extra moisture in the pan because I want to get them crispy. Crispy skin is basically the holy grail of chicken, if you ask me. And it's not really that easy. Like, it's kind of easy to get crispy skin, but it's not that easy to maintain. You know, usually, like especially with this braising method, it's kind of a moist environment, so it's really easy to lose the crisp. And also, if you're making them ahead, there's a good chance that you'll lose the crispiness as well. So we're gonna work through those kind of obstacles together. I've written this whole recipe and blog post over at howtomakedinner.com. So the oil's hot. It's kind of smoking a bit. You can see that it's shimmering slightly. And I'm just gonna drop the chicken thighs in batches. So I'm gonna do about 4 at a time. And you can hear the sizzle. So the reason we're only doing 4 at a time is so that they have enough room in the pan so that they don't overcrowd the pan and just steam. If crispy skin isn't important to you, you can just ignore me and just chuck them all in and you'll have soft skin, or you can use boneless, skinless. That's totally fine too. And if the skin is sticking to the pan, it means it's not done yet, so just leave it alone. The key here is to leave them pretty much totally alone until they get nice and brown. So while I'm waiting for the chicken skin to brown, I'm gonna prep an onion. I'm just gonna slice it thinly. And I do a full onion slicing tutorial in another video. So you can go check that out. There we go. That's nice and brown. It's not quite crispy yet. So I'm going to take these out. I'm putting them back on the same plate as before because they're still going to cook. I'm not worried about that. Oops. And then I'll put the next batch in. Okay, so I cheated and put 5 in this time, but I'm feeling pretty confident that this pan is wide enough. So in terms of cookware, you can use a cast iron skillet. You can use a Dutch oven. You could use a pan like this. The only key is that it's nice and wide so that you get good coverage on your skin, and so that when you go to do the braising, all of the chicken thigh skins are exposed. So this chicken thigh recipe is the first recipe in the new meal plan that I'm developing. I'm telling you what to buy in the store, giving you recipes and ingredients for the week, and everything overlaps into the next, so it makes for a really easy week of cooking. So if you want to sign up to be a test dinner maker, go to howtomakedinner.com and you'll see a sign up form right there on the home page. Couple more minutes on these guys. And you'll notice I'm only cooking them on the one side. That's because they're going to finish cooking in the oven in the braising liquid. Okay, that's crispy enough for me. They are going to crisp up a little bit more in the oven. Looks pretty good. So the next step is to get all these ground bits that we've created on the bottom of the pan back into the braising liquid. So we're basically building the braising liquid now that we're going to cook this chicken in. So I'm going to drop in these onions, and if you have a lot of fat in the pan at this point, you can tip some of it out. I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of fat that's in here. Oh, what was that? So the onions go in, and then that's going to basically start deglazing the pan, which just means picking up the brown bits. Little pinch of salt in with the onions. That was a 3-finger pinch. And then I'm going to mince up the garlic while I'm waiting for the onions. This is one of those times where I'm not too concerned about the garlic being really small. It can be a little chunky. It's going to cook for quite a while. So that looks pretty good for the garlic. I'm going to chuck that in. And then right when I put the garlic in, I'm also going to add the tomato. Just 1 tomato. If you don't have access to good vine-ripe tomatoes, you can definitely use some tomatoes in a can. I would just say use like 2 or 3. Little splash of the juice. And if your knife is not cutting through your tomato, it's time to sharpen your knife. There you go. And while that's going, there's one last step before I add the wine, and that's to get the lemon, 2 lemons, and just put them face side down into this pan. Make sure they make good contact with the surface. And we're just going to try and get a little caramelization on those lemons. Okay, so you can see that the lemons are starting to soften up a little bit and starting to get a little bit brown. So next, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of capers. If you don't like capers, you can leave them out. You could totally use olives, actually. That would be great. If you don't like pickled things in general, you might be in the wrong place, because I'm obsessed with pickled things. And then we're going to do a big splash of wine. I think I said 100 mils, but nobody's going to be the wine police here. You can pretty much add as much as you want. 250 mils, or 1 cup of chicken stock. Last but not least, a big sprig of fresh thyme and a couple of bay leaves. And then I'm going to flip the lemons so that they're flesh side up, so that they keep getting nice and caramelized as much as possible. And then we're going to add the chicken back in. I'm just going to slide it in. And just make sure all the little skins are exposed. If they're not all exposed, then you might need a second pan. But let's hope you don't, because who likes dirty dishes, right? So the chicken and the juices and the tomatoes and the lemons and everything are all in the pan. It's come back up to a boil. Now I'm going to put a lid on it, put it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to crank the oven to 425, take the lid off, and leave it for another 20 minutes to crisp the skins back up. So we'll see you in a bit. Oh my God. Tell me that doesn't look like the ultimate dinner right there. For me, this is just perfect. So, and if for some reason your oven isn't as great and you didn't get crispy skin, You can definitely just, towards the end of cooking, just crank on the broiler. And because it's not covered, you can just crank the broiler on and do like 5-6 minutes under the broiler just to get some nice crispy tops. And let's serve it up. Oh, it's so nice. Okay, but before I forget, we have to do something with all these juices, right? So I actually have just boiled some potatoes. And I'm just going to do the world's quickest mash on these. I love not fussing with potatoes too much. I love just doing a quick mash. So they're in half. The skins are on. I'm just going to, basically we're just crushing them. That's it. That way nobody can complain about lumpy potatoes because they're supposed to be lumpy. And I love skin anyway. How do you guys feel about potato skin? I know some people aren't fans, but I'm a huge fan. So into this roughly smashed potato, just a little pinch of salt. And I have a bit of parsley and chives from the garden. So I'll add those in just to liven it up a little. And give it a stir. And I would normally put some olive oil and maybe a bit of red wine vinegar into here, but because we have all this juice, that's going to basically dress these potatoes for us. So I'm just going to dump some of those in. Look at that. And spoon one of these thighs out and one of these lemons. The best thing about these lemons is that the lemon juice inside and the pulp becomes this just really rich, lemony, amazing juice. And then I'm just gonna pour the juices over the potatoes. And honestly, like, I want it to basically be soup in the bottom of this, because by the time you get to the bottom, the potatoes will just keep absorbing and it'll be delicious. So there you have it. And you can actually eat the skin of these lemons too. They're really nice and soft. They've got that bitter kind of preserved lemon flavor. Maybe I should try a bite, hey? And like I said, you can totally do these with boneless, skinless thighs too, if that's your thing. So good, you guys. This is like the most comforting dinner. And it's really easy. I mean, a little bit of legwork up front, getting the crispy skin, but then once you chuck it in the oven, you basically forget about it. And I guess that's it. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.